Let's get right to our panel. In New York, my colleague Crystal Ball is the host of MSNBC's The Cycle. And in Washington, Perry Bacon, political editor for thegrio.com, and Julian Epstein, who's a Democratic strategist. Julian, if I might begin with you, there's a new Twitter hashtag called Romney Encore. Basically suggestions for how Romney can top his comments on Libya and the 47%. Any suggestions? How about please vote for the incumbent, I hate half of America?
Well, let's see. 2 weeks ago, he was the empty suit because he didn't have a program. Last week, he was Yosemite Sam for his cockeyed comments on Libya. This week, let's see, I think I might go with Triumph the Insult Dog, because if he's good at anything, it's insulting people.
That's fair enough. Crystal, Mitt Romney has gone on to that very vigorous and journalistically demanding broadcast, Neil Cavuto on Fox News, and he has doubled down on the actual things he said that were secretly recorded. Indeed, you watched the interview.
Yeah, I found it remarkable, actually. At first he tried to spin and say, well, I was just talking about the politics of it. But ultimately, he basically reiterated the point that 47% of Americans don't pay income tax. And so they're not going to be on his side. They're going to support President Obama. So I found it remarkable that even in that moment, he continues to reiterate the same point. The other piece that I found very interesting and also very enlightening is he was asked about some comments from Donald Trump, and he responded, I always value his counsel, Donald Trump's counsel. So maybe that sort of explains where all this is coming from.
Yes, indeed. Perry, he does lead the president in one category, the number of hastily arranged news conferences where he says or does something stupid. Take a look.
Good evening. I understand that there's a video that's been on the internet for a few weeks.
If you had known that the ambassador had died,
I'm not going to take hypotheticals about what would have been known one and so forth. The fascination with taxes I paid I find to be very small-minded. I'm not familiar precisely with exactly what I said, but I stand by what I said, whatever it was.
All of the things that you said in the video, things you believe, are those core convictions?
Perry, what's wrong with this man's campaign?
I think today in particular, I mean, there are moments when you're a candidate and it's good to stand by what you said, and there are moments where it's just a smart thing to say, look, I said that incorrectly and I shouldn't have said it that way and I apologize.
But he can't do that, Perry, because he's written a book called No Apology, and he never, ever apologizes for anything.
I think that's right, Martin. He has written the book about that, but he's trying to, I assume he wants to be president, right, because he spent 6 years trying to do that. So I can't figure out why today in particular. He clearly made a mistake. Even most conservatives can't defend what he said, and I still can't figure out why he had a press conference last night, he had the Fox interview today, two formats in which he could have said, I misphrased this, and as Crystal said, he really sort of doubled down on the remarks, and 47% of people is a lot of people to sort of write off as a candidate. Again, if you're trying to win, you should purely say, never mind, I'd like some of you all to vote for me, even if I said something bad a few days ago.
But Julian, to that point that Perry makes, and to Crystal's earlier point, they are not walking away from this, they are driving this. They're saying that this proves that they're consistent, that they're opposing the president because he wants a government-centric country and they don't, and they're very happy to fight it out on what he said.
Well, his campaign staff believes that if he admits he made a mistake, that the story will get worse. So that's why he's doubling down. But consider just how kind of dumb this is as a political campaign tactic. Not only has he insulted 47% of the electorate, but he has hung a lantern again on this tax issue. The fact of the matter is that most Americans, including the Americans that don't pay an income tax, pay a higher tax rate than Romney's 13%. The average rate is somewhere between 14 and 30%. So he's calling attention to that. Secondly, the largest beneficiary of entitlement spending in this country is seniors. Seniors get 2/3 of all entitlement spending. That's the one demographic group that he is actually leading in. Thirdly, red states overwhelmingly are greater net beneficiaries of the federal largesse. That is, they get more federal benefits than they pay into, and that's been documented extensively. So, you know, while this is a very funny Mitt Romney goes wild spring break video,
I don't think it is funny, Julian. I don't think it's funny.
It's funny in a way. It's funny in a way that we begin to ridicule this guy, and this is his spring break video. I mean, this shows. You begin to ask yourself, how many times can a campaign shoot itself in the foot? And this guy wants to be CEO of this country. He doesn't seem like he could organize his way out of a paper bag.
he ridicules himself, really. I mean, this is what the Obama campaign and what Democrats have been saying about him, that he does look with contempt on part of the country, that he only cares about a particular portion of the electorate. And Romney himself comes out and basically says, yeah, that's true. I think what's so damaging here is that people already suspected that this was the case. They already thought that this is who Mitt Romney was, and this was what he thought about a vast portion of the country. So when they hear these comments, they say, yeah, that fits, and that's not the guy that I want to be my president, because he doesn't respect me or understand what I'm going through.
Perry, why does this man continue to talk about everyone else's taxes, but never says anything about his own? He will not release any details of his own taxes, and yet he's always talking about people who don't pay taxes, who don't pay enough taxes.
You know, one of the great questions of this is whether this is Mitt Romney's true views or whether he was pandering to the people in this room. You know, one of the things we don't know about him is sort of who the real Mitt Romney is. And it sounds like in this case what happened was he doesn't want to talk about his own taxes, but one of the big conservative talking points that you hear a lot is all these Americans don't pay income taxes. This is not something that popped into Mitt Romney's head. This is a very popular conservative talking point. Julian and Crystal have explained why that's not actually accurate in a lot of ways. But the fact that Romney brought it up is an interesting thing in and of itself. I'm not sure who in that room he was trying to persuade, since everyone in the room probably already believes that to be true anyway.
Indeed. Perry Bacon, Crystal Ball and Julian Epstein, thank you all so much.